Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Le Mans Ultimate Simhound Academy. This is round 5. We've taken a little trip over to Japan to tackle the infamous Fuji circuit. And just to make things a little bit interesting, we have some weather at play too, as the drivers will have to navigate around this very tricky circuit, I must admit. Joining me, no, I'm not Sam, I'm Scotty for you this week, but joining me is Dave Wood, a regular here for the Simhound Academy.
Hello, Scotty. As I said, no Sam this week. We've got a bit of a treat. We've got you here. We love Sam, but it's always nice to have a special guest. Yeah, absolute horrible weather. Bit better than it was in the practice server last night. New tyre model. This should be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that is the big thing. New tire model for the GT3s. But a little look at the standings across our two classes before we begin tonight. Otto Harkinen leading the LMP2 standing. 6 points clear of Vesperas. Max Farrell only 7 points back. So very close there for the front three in the LMP2s. Matthias Aquident is down in P4. I have Paul Grady that rounds out the top 5. Quick look over to the GT3 standings. Athel Basker, a little bit more of a stronger lead over there. Still at 94 points, but 12 points ahead of Tim Bob in second. Brendan Rooney rounds the podium ahead of Mark Bryson and Max Savick in P5. Qualifying has already got underway, so let us flick on over to that now. As we can see here, the McLaren.
It looks dry, doesn't it?
Yeah, seems like the rain hasn't quite found its way into this qualifying session. But yeah, we'll have to see how that develops. This is John Cuddy on their first flying lap.
No rain. This should be, because I know everyone has been practicing this track in the wet. So now it's through the dry, it might mix the standings up a bit. As we see John Cotty coming. 2 green sectors, obviously his first lap. Well down on the LMP2 time. Where is he in relation to Brendan Rooney, who is P147? So he is 4 seconds off the lead.
Let's have a little look at Ryan Davies up to the line. Puts themselves into P8. Aiden Hard on their first flying lap here, or might be second. They might have invalidated their first lap, but coming through the middle sector now.
Looking good from Aiden. His engine's still running, which is a surprise. Comes into the heavy braking zone. No nasty little chicane here, so it's just round the corner and straight on. Ooh, that's a track limit violation if I've ever seen one.
One thing I'm noticing from these cars, you can see on the tire sidewalls, the blue markings, they are on the wet tires, as the track is still quite damp, or the game would say slightly wet from prior rain. Wonder if it continues to dry out from the lack of rain that we have. Wonder if we'll see any people swap over to the dries. We'll see Aiden out of the final corner here. Let's see the rain light flashing from them being on the wet tires. Up to the line now. And they will
invalidate it. It must be validated, surely.
either that or that was a delay and they was on a night lap. I didn't think he was, but maybe
He's invalidated again. Aiden not doing himself any glory on stream here.
Yeah, I've just noticed quite a few, the top 5 LMP2 cars at the moment, on night laps you can see the yellow sidewall tires, they've swapped on to slick tires, so we'll have to keep an eye on how their sessions carry on. Let's have a little look back to Ryan Davies has started another lap, who is maybe towards the end of a lap. Mark Bryson coming into the pits, of course. Tim Bob in the middle sector, still on a set of wet tyres.
See Tim Bob 5 seconds down on the first sector. Is that from the LMP2 or is that from the GT3
That
though?
will be LMP2. That's how look at the GT3 grid. Still 2.4 seconds down on Rooney's time in that opening sector. In the middle sector, another 1.2 seconds lost, so Tim Bob's struggling a bit to get up to speed, or struggling at least with this lap on the wet tyres. One thing found on Monday's race at Spa in sort of similar conditions, the tyres can really wear out when you've got wet tyres on a drying track. Might be overheating as well. Tim Bob has a little wide moment. That's going to compromise not just this lap, but his next lap as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't talk about Monday night, please. It didn't go very well. Speaking of tyres, as you say though, wet tyres, dry track is a recipe for disaster, as Tim Bob is currently finding out. It will be interesting to see the drivers who are on the switch of the dry tyres if there is an improvement.
Also, Harkonnen, one of the cars think on a set of slick tyres. We'll see here. Yep, yellow sidewall. Not going quicker in the first sector. Still trying to get those tyres up to temperature, which is one of the things that has changed. The LMP2s did have a little tyre tweak, not as significant as the GT3s, so that'll be something for them to learn still. But these are going to be difficult conditions to learn. Is also going for a bit of a spin there. Slams on the brakes to stop the car from spinning. They might be going back for a set of wets. Ben Law here. They are on an out lap, as Vesparis has also returned back to the pits. So those top cars that they come into the pits, maybe not quite liking their change. Matthias Fuskin on the slick tires as well. Doesn't seem to be working out for them as they're down in the sectors.
I think that's a gamble that didn't pay off. The wet tyres still seem to be the best option. Well, what it's done now is it has not left them much time to get a set of wets on and get them heated up properly to put another lap in. So anyone who stayed out on the wet tyres may have an advantage. As we see Brendan Rooney come down into T1. Those are the dry tyres, aren't they?
Let me have another look.
Oh no, the rain light's gone, so I assume it'll be on the wets.
No, that's yellow sidewalls there. So as slick tires, maybe just the track being wet is enough for the rain light to be on. Drivers have no manual control over it, as they might do in other sims. But big wobble there from Rooney in the rear-engined Porsche. Not improving in the first sector, so it seems like the track's still a little bit too wet for the slick tires, or maybe the slick tires will come into it. They just need the time for the drivers to get them up to temperature. Let's have a little look elsewhere, see if other drivers are finding any success. Overstreet is coming up to finish a lap. I think this will be their first valid lap, but they will still be at the bottom of the GT3 grid. 12 cars on the grid today. Unfortunately, missing a couple of people who are still updating their game, waiting on their dial-up internet.
Yeah, sadly a few people didn't realise how big the update was, don't have the fastest internet. So we are missing a few. As we watch John Cotty, there's a few drivers on the dry tyres, and you would think a lot of them are in a voice chat together. They would be speaking to each other, and no one has learned that the dries are no good.
I mean, the difficult thing to judge is the dry tires they'll not be good in the first couple of laps, and talking about with the new update, they take longer anyway to come up to temperature, even if the track is dry. So to have it, to also have these sort of damp conditions, it's going to take even longer. You don't know, maybe if you do give the tires the time, the number of laps to get up to temperature, maybe, last lap of the session, you might see someone pop up to the top of the standings, having taken that gamble.
It's a very good point. Speaking of the tyres taking longer to forget what temperature. When we were in the practice session last night, I know the rain was a lot heavier than it is here, but in the GT3s and the LMP2s, it was hard to get the tyres above 40 degrees. They just wouldn't go any higher, no matter how hard you pushed it. Track is a bit dry here, so I assume they're having the opposite effect. Those on the wets, they'll be getting a bit warm, wear them down. If you look at the middle sector from Rooney, it's not a personal best, but it's not too far off. So maybe, as you said, Scotty, maybe these dry tyres will come good at the end.
Let's see. Basker has put themselves to the top of the timesheets. They're on a set of wet tyres. They're slightly down on this lap so far, but maybe they can find some time in the final sector. So it does seem like wet tyres are still the tyre to be on. No slick drivers. Well, the opportunity's probably passed now by the time they get out of pit lane to sort of make a late change if they don't think the track is going to come to the dry tyres. If they can't get those temperatures up a little bit wide there, that could cost Basker some momentum, but can they improve on this lap? We'll see them across the line.
What's he going to be? I think that wobble might have lost him a bit of time. No, purple all the way around. Great time from Basker.
That puts themselves further up in front. Let's switch back to the LMP2 field. Max Farrell going on a couple of personal bests will put themselves into second place now. But Harkonnen also on a lap, personal best sector 1, not improving in the second sector, but improves in the third sector to go back in front of Farrell. So those two trading places. Vesperas also coming up to the line. Purple opening sector, lost quite a bit of time in the middle sector as they come across the line. It will not be an improvement this time round. They will get one more lap though. Let's see. Ben Law coming up to line. They're just starting a lap.
Vispers does look like he has a good cushion though, 8/10 to Otto Harkonnen. Unless Harkonnen can pull a rabbit out of a hat, I think Vispers should have this pole tied up.
Yeah, seeing there Matthias getting themselves up to P4. Can Matthias Fuskin improve from P7? Again, personal best first sector, not improving in the middle sector. Time has run out in session, so lead times matter. And it's up to P5 for Fuskin, gaining a couple of places. Let's see, Dean Smith coming up to the line. They've just finished a lap there in 13th for the end of this session. Max Farrell now improving in the middle sector. Lost a bit of time in the opening sector, though it looks like they're going to be practicing a pit entry and bailing from the lap.
Oh, it's the first pit entry practice we've seen. A bit of a lock-up going in. Might see some penalties because that teeny little chicane in the pit entry is quite tricky, especially if it will be raining. But as we see Ben Law here, 2 personal bests. He's not in the top 5, so we'll see how much he improves. Can he get close to a top 3 place? And second place, just under 7/10 from Vispers. That is a good lap.
Let's see, Jack Page looks to be one of the only other cars on a lap, comes across the line, does improve their time, will only be P8 though. Let's see, is there any GT3s? Rooney is on a lap, it's not looking good on the timesheets, but we'll see them across the line anyway.
No improvement. Basker a second ahead of Rooney. I'm wondering if Rooney didn't get time to change back to the wet tyres. I see Matt Hagan come round, looked a little wide, can't have been a great exit. Terrible first sector. We'll see. But then, as we've got some people in the chat, zombie visuals. I think that is Fiona, who was actually racing tonight.
It is.
Imp 24/7 not mating due to an update. Unlucky. The name at the top I didn't want to butcher last week, where Sam nailed it first time. And then Hot Sauce Holman is here as well. Imp 247's Noel Doige. Noel, you need better internet. What can I say? But less of the chat. Let's look at the standings. So, you want to run us through it, Scotty?
If
we can get them up.
if I remember how to do this, who knows? Maybe this is something that's broken with the new updates.
Yeah. Anything that doesn't work is broken. We'll blame Scrub and we'll blame the game.
Let's see. Maybe this won't work. Yeah, this button works.
So, you want to run us through the top 10?
Sure. The Vespera is on pole position in the LMP2 class. Have Ben Law, big gap, 7 tenths there. Otto Hartman and Max Farrell are third and fourth, a little bit closer. And gaps open up once again. Matthias Aquadint taking P5 ahead. Aiden Hard, P6, not bad result for them that session. Matthias Fuskin will be in P7. Jar Page taking P8 for Toy in 9th. Matt Hagen in P12. Look a little further back. Ollie Knowles in P11. Ryan Davies 12th, Dean Smith 13th, and Fiona Zombie in 14th. Then we've got the GT3 fields. Athel Basker will take pole position there ahead of Brendan Rooney, and Norman Bruce round up the top three. Very spread out though, 2 seconds covering the top three. Brian Anderson will be in P4. I have Nathan Turner in P5. Mark Bryson in P6 with Bema in P7. Timbo P8, have Prescott P9. John Cuddy rounds out the top 10 with Max Savick in 11th, and Chris Overstreet rounding out our qualifying order.
As we can see there, one of the new cars looking directly at it. Got some Lexus on the grid. Prescott.
Prescott is in the Lexus. And quickly before we go to start, let's talk about the new cars, as drivers have had an opportunity, unusually because of the update, to switch to something a little bit different if they've wanted to.
Well, I'll tell you what would be interesting, Scotty, if you can get further up, to see the gap between the GT3s and the LMP2s, because doesn't the game apparently put a gap between them now?
It does indeed. Usually you'd see the Mustang right on the tail end of the LMP2s. You can see there's, okay, I was expecting a little bit more of a gap, to be honest, but it is a gap nevertheless. The green flag is out, so we'll look to the front this session, much wetter than the qualifying session. Spray being kicked up as drivers head to turn 1. Dean Smith has picked up a penalty within the starting procedure, but into T1 drivers trying to spot their breaking point on amongst the spray. Looks like we're cleanly through for now. Let's see in the background. Looks like everyone, at least for the LMP2s, is through cleanly. We do have a Porsche spinning in the background. That's Brendan Rooney.
Oh. P2 to dead last. Not sure if we can get the replays working because of the issues with the update. We just have to imagine what happened.
Yeah, interesting thing here for Basker is they're passing some LMP2s, are struggling to adapt again to the wet conditions. Are currently in front of 3 of the LMP2s, so it's been a really good start for them. Nathan Turner, the next LMP2, is still behind all of them, but yeah, good start for Basker so far.
Yes, Basker has got moving real quick. It just goes to show the GT3s can get a higher temperature quicker than the LMP2s can. Obviously ABS as well, a lot more of a safer traction control system, better suited to this weather. The LMP2, and as we see, one of the new cars that actually span backwards. But the GT3s are a lot more suited to these conditions than the LMP2s are. The LMP2 drivers have got a tricky evening ahead of them, as you can see now. There's a few of them going off. Brendan Rooney going a bit deep there. Ollie Knowles really not having a good time in that car. Is that him dead last now?
Uh, yes, last of the LMP2 field, Paul Prescott, what the Lexus you mentioned spinning, is still behind. Let's look a little further up. Max Farrell up into second place, got in front of Otto Harkinen, trying to chase down Ben Law, but still has Otto Harkinen behind them, trying to get themselves back into the top three.
So one thing, Leon Vispers has flew away from, I think that's 2.1 seconds ahead of Ben Law, 2.2 now. He is not waiting around. He's seen the weather conditions, thinks I don't want no one near me, and he's took off.
Either that, or Ben Law is struggling to follow with the limited visibility that you have in these conditions. Trust me, when you're right behind someone and the spray is bad, you just see a wall of white in front of you. Picking up your reference points is extremely difficult. We also go a little like further back. We also got about Matthias Oquident is trying to catch up to Aiden Hard, who has jumped up into the top 5 off of the race start. Good start then from Aiden. Can they hold on to that top 5 position?
If you're awkward, and you just be patient, because Aiden will blow his engine at some point and you'll get the position, so just don't stress about it. But it is a good start by Aiden, to be fair, after all the rubbish we give him. He's had a great start. And looking at the GT3s as well, Matt Turner P2 and Ben Mayan P3. Great start from them. Brian Anderson P4. I would say he's driving like he's stalling, but we all know it's usually his cars that are being stolen. And Mark Brayson P5. What's not look good? Oh, Tim Bobb P5 now. Tim Bobb with his second place in the championship wants to be getting a bit of a move on.
Already seeing some cars into the pit lane, including Dean Smith and Ben Myatt. Now, interesting to see Dean come in so early, Ben come in so early.
Dean had a drive-through, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Ben has a drive-through as well, both of them driving through the pit lane. Oh, that's going to be awkward for them, but it'll get them out of the spray at least.
Yeah, that Lamborghini does look good. It is a good look car, the Lamborghini. Oh, Dean Smith letting Ben Myatt through.
Very generously.
Yeah,
obviously intentional.
Yeah, no mistakes there.
Yeah, we'll come back up to this as Aiden Hart has had a wide moment here, and Matthias Oquident trying to find a way through as they come into the final corner here. Oquident trying to come back to the apex, but Aiden Hart parked the car firmly there, and yeah, that's just compromised. Matthias as well.
Who is that? Who is that? I was about to ask who was that behind them, because they're closing up a bit as well.
Yeah, that's Ryan Davies closing up.
Oh, Ryan's going to spin off at some point, so it doesn't matter much. But it is a close battle. Oquident as well, decent place in the standings considering he has missed a couple of races. So a strong result here could put him in play up in the championship.
Yeah, Matthias has currently had 2 seconds for the opening 2 rounds of this series. Missed the 3rd round, as you say. Only a P6 last week. So we'll be a little bit disappointed at that. But now is they're currently sitting in P6 right behind and into the back of Aiden Hart ever so lightly. They'll get away with that one. But you can see it seems like Matthias a little bit quicker than Aiden, putting the pressure on, but struggling to find a way past.
Just reminding Aiden that he's there. Again, this generally isn't a tricky track to overtake on, but once you throw these weather conditions in, everything goes out the window. As we see Ryan Davies taking the longer route around the corner. Usually you would try get your overtake done in the heavy braking zone, but as you know, Scott, you are quite experienced in these cars. When you throw this weather into the equation, these cars, braking kind of goes out the window.
Yeah, it's, you've got to modulate the brake, just be that little more careful of locking up. It might be sort of zapping the confidence from some of our drivers. And as well, spotting your braking point in the spray, very easy just to miss it when you're sort of blinded by the driver in front. It just see
I was
right.
about to say, sorry to interrupt you there, but if we look at Ben Law, Farrell and Harkinen, they look very close together on the timing sheet.
Yeah, Otto Hartnett closing a little bit, putting a little more pressure on Farrell, but still just by a second and a half separating these three cars at the moment. Hartnett still trying to close in, but again, Hartnett doesn't seem to be much better off than Matthias. He's trying to go round the outside here of turn 4. Aiden squeezed him out wide over to the curb onto the grass, and Matthias has to back out before the left-hander. Things getting quite close there.
Yeah, Robin is racing. A flash of the headlights from off, and they're clearly not happy. Did I see a rear wing off there? Yep, there it is.
Yeah, that is Paul Prescott struggling tonight and has lost their rear wing somewhere. But go stick with this battle. Matthias Oakman sending it down the inside. This could be a little return of service. Does leave the space on the outside for Aiden, it must be said. He might try and come back down the inside of the final corner. Matthias very wide onto that curb, sort of lets Aiden back through on the inside, but is trying to get that much better exit.
Well, Ryan Davies, sorry I keep interrupting you, Scotty, I apologise. Ryan Davies with a great exit as well. So, Aidan Howard could potentially lose 2 positions in the space of a lap here.
Indeed, it's still going to be side by side into T1. Aiden a bit safer on the brakes, and Ryan Davies is actually going to try and post it. Has sent it down the inside and has given a little bump to Aiden, forcing him wide, but has taken the position, putting themselves up to P6.
Is a bit of a send from Ryan. We've seen the flash of the lights from Aiden. I assume there is some choice language going on in the VC.
Yeah, and that's
We're
also
very brave. Oh.
That's for Toy having the wide moment just as they caught up to Aiden, compromised by the battle that we were watching there. But they'll carry on. They'll once again try and close up. Don't run the curb too much. They're nearly running back onto the grass all by themselves, but they get to carry on. Ryan Davies now back behind Aiden Hart. Didn't see how that happened. I wonder if he maybe thinking, hang on, that was maybe a little too aggressive into T1 and has opted to give the place back.
It would make the most sense as we see Aiden running a bit wide, but you would assume Ryan has given the place back and will attempt to get it in a more fair manner, shall we call it. Seems to have a better line through this final turn. And usually you would want to be right up the car behind to get the slipstream, but in this case it just completely kills your visibility. As Harkinen, bit of a rear lock-up.
It's easily done on this game, especially in lower grip conditions. Maybe just go across to the curb a little too much, but it's really piling the pressure on Max Farrell now. Might find a way through, trying to take a different line here. Is he going to send it around the outside of T4? No, decides better of it. Maybe trying to set up a move, cutting back, but they'll defense to the inside from Farrell through turn 3. But again, you can tell Harkinen probably the slightly faster driver, but struggling to get the overtake done.
He's going to try something into this braking zone. A little bit too far back. You can tell Harkinen is pushing it because you see it getting very squirrely under braking at times. Max Farrell doing his job defending though. Look, I don't know if Farrell's wide there or Harkinen took a very tight line, but he's looking at every way to get past Max Farrell, and I think this is traffic ahead, isn't it?
It is traffic in front. Do you have a GT3 in front? Can't quite tell what car that was. Maybe it was.
Is it Fiona?
Is that it? Was indeed Fiona. Good, well spotted, but it's going to be side by side between the two of these, or is it Hartnett trying to get to the inside, but doesn't. Maybe lacking a little bit of top speed, running a little bit more wing in the setup. Not able to get alongside. Still trying to find that way through.
Max Farrell picking the right line. You see him taking a bit of a defensive line. You can see Harkonnen trying to take the wider approach to get the better run out of the corner. But as you say, he just doesn't have the top speed to get past on the straight. And if you look at the way Harkonnen is taking the corners compared to Farrell, the high wing would make sense. Whereas we do have the GT3 McLaren here, getting out of the way nicely for them, all that in the LMP2's race.
Very difficult to go for a move into this fast right-hander, of course, with it not being the normal chicane braking zone. Quite a bit shorter. Harkonnen actually has a bit of a lock-up. It's a bit deep and subsequently lost a bit of time. So with that, we'll take a little look at one of the GT3 battles. Brian Anderson seems to be trying to chase down Nathan Turner for P3. Nathan qualified P5, so he's up a couple of places so far this race. Was maybe trying to make it one more, as we actually have. The spin for Fortoy has met the wall and has donated its rear wing to the wall. We'll have a bit of a struggle here trying to get back to the pits.
I think Fortoy is going to be donating a few more parts of the car before it gets back to the pits, because having no wing in the dry is bad enough. As we see, Turner and Anderson still fighting. Anderson will obviously be more used to this weather because he lives in the Midlands, so all he knows is grey and gloom. But Nathan Turner defending well. Anderson looking up the inside. Is he going to go for a move? Ooh, Lamborghini spun off there. Was that Ben Myers?
I think that was, yes, it was Ben, who's also kindly donated his rear wing to the wall. Seems like people quite like sharing their rear wings. Go to this fight for P3 in the LMP2 class, as Harkonnen again putting the pressure on. Has he got a better run through turn 10 here? Oh, not quite close enough. Get a good run through there. You can maybe think about a move up the inside into this final sector. Wasn't quite close enough this time for Harkonnen.
No, Harkonnen, he looks faster than Farrell, but not quite quick enough to get the move done and make it stick. He's trying to get the better exit here. Again, right up behind Max Farrell, but just doesn't seem to have the top speed to get the move done on the straight. Must be incredibly frustrating.
Is in the slipstream, which usually long straight like this we let you get alongside at the very least, if not in front. But Harkonnen even dropping back with the slipstream. It's not just sort of one or two positions higher that Harkonnen has gone. It seems like he's gone quite a bit higher on the rear wing. It certainly doesn't seem to be helping them here as they try and get themselves back into third.
Yeah, you must be running a high wing when you're losing time in the slipstream. And oh, Nathan Turner, who was driving so well, off towards the start of the third sector, only lost 2 places, but still, after such a great drive at the start of the race, they must be kicking themselves.
Yeah, they might be. They've got this battle as well behind them. Tim Bob trying to get past Mark Bryson.
Yeah, I've got some LMP2 traffic as well just to complicate things a bit more.
Yeah, including that Farrell Harkonnen battle just behind. That's Ben Law running out a bit wide as they navigate the traffic here.
Oh, Farrell being very held up by the McLaren. Will that give Harkonnen the run he needs?
But you have to imagine Farrell still has the straight line speed and will have a bit of slipstream from the GT3s, but that's certainly compromised Tim Bob, who found the LMP2s between them and Mark in front, and has just sort of wedged that gap open unfortunately for them. So let's just watch this LMP2 battle again, then we'll maybe switch back to the GT3s if they close up again. Also just noticed there, Paul Prescott has DNF'd from the race.
He's put in the Twitch chat saying he's gone in the pits and the engine won't start. I wonder if it may be one of the new bugs we don't know about.
Eden hard into the pits, going off strategy. As one of the GT3s has held up Max Farrell a bit, and that maybe has given Hartnett the opportunity. They try and get to the inside on the exit of turns 6 and 7, but you have to imagine again the arrow straight line speed. Max Farrell is going to get themselves back in front, though. Again, they're coming up on another GT3. Compromises Farrell through the fast right-hander here, but not enough for Hartnett to find a way through. Luckily for Hartnett, they do get past the BMW.
He's doing everything right apart from getting the move done. I think that lack of top speed is what's ruining it. As you see, he's taking a different line through the final corner, trying to get the better run out, which he is doing. But then Max running the lower wing just pulls away on the straight. By quite a bit as well.
Unfortunately, the onboard camera is one of the things not working with the update. I know, I was clicking the onboard button. I'll click it now. No, we're not getting any onboard cameras, unfortunately. So yeah, add that to the list of things broken with this update. So won't quite get to visualize it from the car's perspective, just how many car lengths are being opened up. But yeah, Hartnett, every lap they close in, just to have the start-finish straight undo all of their progress. They've got no one to blame, though, except themselves for running as much wing as they are.
That is it. It is benefiting Harkonnen through the corners and in the braking zone, as we can see, because that's where he closes up on Max. But Fuji has a very long straight, and even this section here, I know it's a long right-hander, but it is still pretty straight. We have a message off Sandbag saying try F1 in game for onboard.
I am pressing F1 right now. It is not doing anything.
Oh, well, there's another problem for you to fix, Sam.
Broke. Well, I mean, if the F1 function in the game isn't working, I don't think that's something Sam can fix. Because, by the way, your camera buttons on our till haven't been working. Gonna assume that's game related, but yeah.
We knew there was going to be some issues coming in.
I mean, in fairness, I believe yesterday the overlay was completely not working in any capacity, so it could be worse. I'm glad we have something. It's enough to make do. Let's just say. Ooh, big twitch there for Max Farrell, trying to put the power down. And it's going to get held up here through turn 3. Is Hartnett going to be able to set a move up? Try and get the opportunity here. Max is going to have to go round the outside.
Is that has hindered? To be fair, it's hindered Max, but it's hindered both of them. And as we see, Hartnett again taking the different entrance, getting the better exit, but then as soon as any straight line speed comes in, he just falls behind. He's going to have to get very risky in the braking zone to get any move done, but I think he's just playing it more cautious.
Yeah, playing it more cautiously as well. Max Farrell will be really wanting to hold on to this podium. If they drop to 4th, it will equal their worst result of the series back in round 1. But since then, they have been on the podium in 3rd place every race since. So this would be a 4th 3rd place in a row if Max Farrell can hold on, which would be quite a good run of results. But it might be 2nd, as Ben Law has had issues on the exit of the final corner.
Ben Law as well, in clear air, no pressure from anyone, has literally just lost it himself.
Is that close enough to qualify for commentator's curse?
No, we weren't focused on him. We were watching the battle behind. If we take any blame, it takes a bit of blame away from Ben, and it's all Ben's fault.
I don't know if you just noticed in the top left as well. It just said he got a penalty.
Oh.
So, not sure what that penalty's for exactly. Apparently, he has picked up a penalty.
Spinning on stream. Stop go.
Let's have a look. We've got a GT3 battle here. Mark Bryson and Nathan Turner fighting at it once more for P4 in the GT3 class. Mark trying to go for the cutback, but it looks like quite a lock up there for Nathan, and they find themselves running wide off the track. That's quite an odd moment there.
We hear a giant cheer from Lincolnshire as Matt Hot Sauce Holman cheers on his mate Mark Bryson. You could see Nathan Turner. He took the end of that corner all wrong. He was always going to lock up, and I think Grayson had seen that, which clever racing, to be fair. Maybe the old man punt.
Yeah. Nathan Turner needs to sort of not worry about it, just settle back down, regain their focus, and maybe they might have the pace to catch back up to Mark Bryson.
What is interesting, I didn't realise Brendan Rooney's back up to P2.
He is up to P2. Has had a good recovery drive, and is actually currently in front of 5 LMP2s. So they are. Let's just have a little look at our LMP2 field and see who has made a pit stop and who hasn't yet. So the bottom 6, all the way up to Jared Page at P9, has made a pit stop, taking on a bit of fuel that they'll need to get to the end of this race. The top 8 still yet to make the pit stop, as these LMP2 cars struggle to go 45 minutes, let alone 50, so they won't be able to fuel save to the end.
Oh, Max Farrell. Something has went wrong somewhere, and this could be his lowest finish of the season. Should it end like this?
It could have been his best. He was in P2. He's given away a few places now.
The fine line between success and failure, Max Farrell has just shown it. As we see, Matt Hagan in Spike the Dragon. Best looking LMP2 car.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It certainly is. Gotta love the AO characters that they have. Spike, the LMP2 Dragon, as well as Rexy and Roxy, the Porsche GT3s.
Have you seen Spike at Le Mans this week? They've had the inflatable dragon out running around the car.
Yeah, I have. It's you gotta love how AO embrace the character and sort of show they put on. Ben Law, next LMP2 to take to pit lane.
But is this a penalty or is it a pit?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Matt Hagan has lost it. No, it looked like a pit from Ben Law, unless he had to stop. Oh.
He stopped for 11 seconds, according to my timing screen here. But let's swap back to Matt Hagan, as he has gone for a bit of lawn mowing in these wet conditions. Odd conditions to do some lawn mowing. You'd say do it in the dry.
Yeah, it's not the ideal weather to do some gardening in, but ooh, very close there from Ockwoodon, who is currently in P3, chasing down Otto Harkonnen. Now Max Farrell is out of the picture. That was pretty close, that.
Yeah, I seen that gap between them coming down to a 10th. I was like, oh, this is worth switching to, and it certainly was close between two of them. Not sure what got them so close. What had Matthias gaining into that corner as Harkonnen a little bit compromised. I wonder now if Matthias can catch up to the back of Harkonnen. We've seen the struggles on the straight line compared to Max Farrell. I wonder how these two will compare. Well, actually, I've got some speed trap figures, some top speeds. Harkonnen, even with those big slipstream runs, only 285.5 kilometers per hour. That is better than Vespera's, who's 283.4 out in front, though hasn't had any slipstream run. Max Farrell, though, who is chasing 288. A good 2.5 kilometers per hour faster. Matthias Aquident is a little bit faster, 286.7, but not as much as Max Farrell. But I tell you what, they won't be going too quickly when they get onto the grass like that, trying to pass a GT3.
No, bit. What's the word? You didn't quite judge that one correctly, which is now it's give Harkonnen a lot of breathing room. As we watch Max Savchuk, who qualified in a great position, had a bit of an incident waiting to resafe jointly. I think the better of it, I think they're going to reverse and join at a better angle just to be safe.
Yeah, interestingly, at the start of this race, the track was on average about 40% wet. It has increased to 60%. Which does mean the drivers will be losing some grip, of course not just from the track, but as their tyres wear out as well. It seems to be catching a few of the drivers out. We are seeing a few more mistakes as we're into the second half of the race now.
Yeah, as you said, tyre tread. I assume when the drivers are pitting, they're not changing tyres because there's really no need. But as the tread goes down and the wet percentage on the track goes up, as you say, it's why we're starting to see some pirouettes, and no one is immune to it. We've seen some front runners spin, we've seen some of the back markers spin. You've just got to be extremely careful.
You do indeed, and for this GT3 field, we're expecting they might not even need to pit this race. It will require a bit of fuel saving. The wet weather, of course, will be helping in that regard, but Fuji does have this long, kilometre-long start-finish straight that will be sipping away at the fuel as they hold down the throttle through ice. We see Max having some more struggles through the final corner, being passed by a Ferrari, not for position that one. Not sure what Ferrari that
Maybe
is.
Bruce?
I think it is Mark Bryson.
Yeah. Bryson, it'll be in P4. Great race, as we've seen Dean Smith come into the pit again.
This will be for their second time this race.
But yeah, I think Dean's Fest was a drive-through, wasn't it? He did have a penalty at the start of the race, so will that count towards the pit stop?
Yeah, it might have. Though it did say he was stopped for 15 seconds on the timing screen, so not too sure on that. We'll pop up to Ollie Knowles, who's closing in on Ryan Davies, was nearly a second quicker last time around. So I wonder if Ollie Knowles here, as you can see that time at the bump of your screen, we'll see what is this time as well after they cross the line. As they come up, Ollie Knowles trying to get into the slipstream. Let's see, 1.4 seconds last lap. Ollie Knowles is on a charge here to try and catch Ryan Davies. As, contact into T1.
Ryan Davies going a bit deep. That looks like some body. Oh no, it's a car. It's span, you just see the top of it. Ryan Davies went a bit deep. Must have locked up his brakes and slid straight into Matt Hagan, who was just off the side of the track after having an incident of his own.
I think he was hit by someone else. I think he's seen another LMP2 off on the runoff there, but I
think it was Dean Smith.
either he went to the pit lane right at the right time before I could switch to him, returning to the garage, or maybe he'd just come out of the pits and then had that little oopsie, let's just say. But yeah,
Team doing a team special. But even so, it has cost, and we know Ollie Knowles was on one hell of a charge, and he was going to probably get the overtake done anyway, but it has possibly given some damage to Ryan Davies, which there's only 17 minutes to go, but it won't be nice to drive, and it's probably give Ollie a bit of breathing room as well.
Yeah, it probably has as well. Let's have a quick look at that LMP2 field. A little bit more spread out. This is still our closest battle, despite that moment. Matthias has dropped back from Harkonnen to the tune of 3 seconds and was 4/10 slower last lap. So Harkonnen opening up that gap between second and third. We are actually getting a bit of a fight here in the GT3 field. Nathan Turner has had a wide moment and is coming under pressure from Tim Bob, who sends up the inside. Looks like it's going to be moved on for Tim.
Tim Bob making a bit of Tim Bob didn't have the greatest qualifying session, but as we showed in the championship, he's been having some strong results, and he will want another one here because I think it's only Baskar he is second to in the championship.
Yes, you're correct indeed. So far for Tim, has been on the podium for all bar one race. Started season with a second place. Only got 7th in the second round, but 2 third places since to give him 3 podiums. So this would be his worst result tonight, but it would be only his second time off the podium. Running in deep there into T1 has allowed Turner to close up a little bit, but not enough to get back in front.
There's Tim Bob going on. What is interesting, I don't know whether it's a game glitch or the way he's got his car set up, his rear brakes are glowing a lot more than the front when they're braking.
I think that's just a game thing. I want to say with some of the hypercars that have the front regenerative braking, so the LMH cars, like Ferrari, Toyota, Peugeot, obviously they won't use their front brake discs as much, and thus those brake discs wouldn't glow, and instead you'd get the rears glowing, which is unusual, as it would usually be the fronts. But I think that's accidentally been carried through to like a lot of the cars, if not all of them, rather than just being subjected to most cars. But I have also known, I think some of the GT3s do actually run a rear.
A lot of them do run a rear heavy brake bias, which I personally don't get along with. But when you load up the setups, a lot of them do start with the brake bias towards the rear of the car, especially the mid-engine cars.
Which is certainly a little bit unusual. It could be explained, of course, the weight distribution of those cars with the engine towards the rear half of the car, just giving more brakes to the rears. Of course, these cars run quite stiff, so the weight transfer not quite as prevalent, though. The handling model for LMU, you really do feel the weight transfer. It's very important to get your trail braking right to get the cars turned into corners. As Tim heads through T1 again.
It's true, or you can just do what I do and load the completely different wrong setup on the completely different wrong car and then suffer for an hour. But no, it's one of the good things about LMU, as you were saying, Scotty, you feel the weight of the car moving around, which anyone who does sim racing knows it is absolutely vital. Without feeling that weight, the car just feels numb. And it's one thing the game does do well. In this weather, you probably feel it a bit too much. There'll be a lot of understeer going on, but that's what separates the good drivers from the great ones. Throw some water in the mix.
Yeah, I don't know about, well, I suppose in the Ferrari you were struggling with snappy oversteer moments, but in the Mustang, as we see Turner in the background having a wobble on the curb, and is the grass. Has he got some damage or something? He really seems to be...
This car does not... Oh, he's got... has he got a puncture at the rear? It looks very low.
We'll stick with Turner here as they seem to be struggling, but yeah, just to carry on that conversation, I'm finding the Mustang on Monday at Spa, a lot of understeer in the front end, and the front tyres were wearing about twice as quickly as the rears, and that was just on the default CDA setup, not a qualifying setup that some people were running in the race that did some more damage. So yeah,
well, I can say from personal experience, if you put a Mustang setup on a Ferrari, you get the terrible understeer and the snap you oversteer all at the same time.
I don't know how you missed pressing that CDA button on so much.
I'd use a different I'd use a different setup from a different supplier, but I'd named them myself, and because Ford and Ferrari both begin with F, I just picked the wrong one.
You heard it here first. Dave Wood, sweaty tryhard.
Yeah, that's the problem. When I don't try hard, I go fine. When I do try hard, I mess it up. So it is what it is. It was fun at the end of the day.
Ryan Davies making their way into the pits for their pit stop within the LMP2 field. Let's just get another update on who has pitted and who's yet to pit. So still Fuskin up, the top 6 yet to make their pit stop. As apparently Jared Page had a little moment. That's not quite the racing line coming out of the final corner.
Is he going to jump Ryan Davies, Jarrett Page up? He's coming down the straight and Davies is in the pit.
Let's see. Coming to the pit exit is Ryan Davies. And yes, through goes Jarrett Page.
This is a strong drive from Jarrett. Great result for him.
And someone else who's closing up for position is actually making position. John Coddy up the inside of Nathan Turner has got that move done. Good move there from Coddy, taking advantage of Nathan's struggles.
It isn't. We know the McLaren is quick in a straight line, but that BMW looks like it is closing. There is a lot of traffic ahead, so Nathan is going to make a move. He's going to have to be extremely good on his brakes.
Well, in front of that is Brendan Rooney, second place within GT3 field, and Fiona Zombie, who is trying to overtake Rooney for position, having had a difficult start to the race. But they have.
Great overtake from Nathan, though. He got the job done. He's slowing down, letting the LMP really putting himself out of place to let that LMP2 pass there, which is...
I'm going to say, if I was an LMP2 car, I would be asking what on earth was that McLaren doing. Very odd way to let LMP2 through by parking it on the apex. There's no real other way to put it, is there?
The drivers are told in the driver briefing in the GT3s to stay on the racing line and remain predictable. John Cotty ignoring every word I said there and doing his own thing, as well as taking the sausage there. John's just doing his own thing, what can we say?
Talked about this battle opening up, but looks to be coming back together. Matthias Okwiden is closing down on Harkonnen. Did gain half a second last lap, so has turned that around, and as we just have a little over 9 minutes remaining, if Matthias wants to get this move for P2 done, I'll have to make it soon. But of course, remember, both of these drivers have a pit stop to make. And I would say with how close these drivers are, whoever gets the pit strategy right is the one that's going to get second place, as seen quite commonly in our races, where you're not just sort of excluding the 100 series, where it's brim the tank because you need a full tank to get to the end of the race. But you've got to sort of work out how much you'll need to make it to the end. We see quite a few drivers overfilling and costing themselves extra time in the pits.
That's true. the difference between 2 and 3 litres in your tank could decide a position, especially in this predicament where we see Harkonnen and Aquadent. Less than a second between them, a second longer in your pit stop changes position, so you've got to get it nailed. Is Aquadent coming to the pits now? He's coming over to the right hand side.
Yeah, they are going to go for the undercut, see if they can put themselves in a bit of free air and make the overtake on the strategy.
Your pit entry as well is vital when you're talking these margins.
I would say that looked like a relatively safe pit entry from this angle. Didn't send it in too much. Sort of didn't cut the left-hand side of the white line too much. Could have pushed it a little bit more, but better safe than picking up a stop-go penalty for speeding in pit lane. Let's see how long they're stopped for here in the pits. Up on the jacks.
So as we wait, we see Dean Smith has DNF'd. He's in the chat complaining, doing what Dean usually does. It's a skill issue, Dean. How long was that pit stop?
That was 10 seconds on the dot for Matthias. So, pressure's on now for Harkonnen. How long will they be stopped in the pits? Though unfortunately, I don't think this plan has quite worked out too well for Matthias. They've come out right behind. Well, I say behind, but they've got a little bit of gap to Max Farrell, who could maybe hinder Matthias's challenge for P2, let's say.
Has Farrell pitted?
He has not. Still to pit, Matthias is the only driver within the top 6 to have pitted. Everyone else has made a pit stop within the LMP2 field.
Do you think any of them ballsy enough to go for a non-stopper? Is it possible?
I'd love to tell you, but unfortunately, the only way to know would be to run some laps. And I don't know. Did you run some laps yesterday while you were running the practice session?
Not in the LMP2. I didn't. I was running the GT3, but that's how I knew the GT3 would be able to manage it. But the LMP2 generally can't go as long as a GT3 because they've only got small tanks, haven't they? So you would assume.
I mean, GT3s can safely go 45 minutes normally, but you do a 45-minute race in an LMP2 and you're having to really fuel save for them. And it's quite a lot of fuel saving. To take Imola, for example, you need more fuel saving to make a 45-minute race in an LMP2 than you do in a hypercar to make a 50-minute race.
They are thirsty machines, aren't they?
Yeah, they do get a slightly bigger fuel tank. They only have 63 litres normally, but they do get 75 litres for Le Mans, which does help balance them out a little bit on strategies. I'm sure they would love to have that 75-litre tank everywhere else. We'd certainly help with the strategies, but alas, they will not have them. We've seen there Matthias was caught behind.
There's Farrell and...
Was it Max Farrell who was caught behind, or was it someone else?
No, I don't think it was. No,
it was Fiona.
Fiona. Stuck behind Brendan Rooney a bit.
No, I think he came out right in front of Brendan. Did awkward. Interestingly, Harkonnen hasn't responded, has carried on. We have a little over 4 minutes left in the race, and I'm going to try and do some maths here. I think we'll have 3 laps to go.
I can't. Surely they're not going to make it to the end. The only thing I think is it is going to be a last lap splash and dash.
Even if the drivers do have to fill up 1 or 2 laps of fuel, that wouldn't take 10 seconds, so...
Has Harkonnen pulled the right strategy here, and has Aquadent just jumped the gun a little bit? But then we've all... Hang on, who is this coming in?
Ollie Knowles. From P5, sorry. into the pits.
See how long his stop is for what I assume will be two, maybe 3 laps of fuel.
Let's go. We've got battle forming here for P9. Aiden Hart trying to defend off Ryan Davies. You can see having to defend the inside, which they do. Ryan Davies running a little bit wide there as they also come up on a bit of traffic. They'll look at the last lap times. Ryan actually 1 second. So Ryan lost that position last lap and is trying to get it back again. Unfortunately, hasn't quite managed to do so yet, at least.
No, have we got a time for Ollie Knowles? How long was 2 or 3 laps?
15 seconds in their pit box, so that is quite a bit longer than expected.
Yeah, I don't think Ollie's math is mathing. I don't think.
I wonder how many of these drivers are leaving it to the middle of the race to try and do the math on the fly, or are doing some calculations beforehand, so they kind of, even if it's not exactly right, they'll have a rough idea of what they should be doing when before they get into the race.
We're about to see who's a genius and who's a dunce, because if they're a genius, they'll be thinking if they've got some dunces, we'll see some LMP2s pulled up at the side of the road at the end of the race.
Yeah, which we did see in the GT3 festival on Monday. Ben Brown was one of those drivers. There was also another that is just escaping my mind that had a little slight issue running out of fuel.
I can't remember who it was. All I remember is someone saying in the
chat. It's Andrea Malvone.
And Malvone, yes.
And
so this is Leon's last lap, and he's going for it. He hasn't stopped, has he? Made this last.
Yeah, I'd love to go on board and even bring up the input overlay for the driver. But
yes, the Hamilton Corson.
Yeah, I assume you've heard about the fact that replays now show driver inputs at 1 frame per second.
1 frame.
You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't.
Well, it looks like this.
Oh. Yeah, that's a bit off-putting, let's just say.
Yeah, and it's the same in replays.
Even so, Liam, whatever he's done, same with Farrell and Harkonnen, hats off. I did not think they would have done this on 1 tank of fuel, but they have. No way Ockwoodon is going to catch Max Farrell, not 9 seconds in a lap. So Max Farrell keeps his streak of strong finishing positions going.
Yeah, so for the second time in a row to make their 4th podium of the series, the Vespers will come out of the final corner. The time has ran out, and so managing an unexpected fuel save strategy here out of Wet Fuji. They'll come across the line to take the win for round 5. Otto Harknen will have to settle for 2nd place. It'll be their first 2nd place, having taken 2 victories so far. Their first time on the podium without securing the win. But I'm sure they will be satisfied with that, having qualified in P3. Max Farrell will continue their streak of 3rd places, making it 4 in a row now as they come up to the final corner.
Strong, especially Max did have an off earlier on, as we've seen, but that fuel save strategy has secured him a podium. Strong drive.
Yeah, up 1 place as well. Matthias Ockwoodon will come through for P4, just missing out on their 3rd podium of the series. And then we will have Matthias Fuskin will be one of the next cars across the line as Athel Basker comes across the line to win in the GT3 field, their 3rd win of the series, 2nd in a row. And again, every time Basker's been on the podium, it has been to take victory. Brendan Rooney will take a second place, which I'm sure they'll be quite glad with, having DNF'd last week at their third podium of the series. And then,
Span at T1 today.
yeah, a really good recovery drive with that being said for them. But yeah, Brian Anderson will take third place within the class, has already finished, and that is actually, I think, everyone across the line to finish this race. It is indeed.
All done. Brian Anderson, P3. Everyone put the lottery on if Brian Anderson's finished P3. Shows that pigs do fly. As we see, Matt Hagen in the garage. Everyone done. Not quite as many overtakes and stuff as we used to because the weather didn't help, but I'm still a bit gobsmacked about that fuel saving strategy from the LMP2s because I really did not see that coming.
Yeah, I really wasn't expecting it as well to take a car that struggles to do 45 minutes normally to then push it to 50 minutes around a track that has one of the longest straights, if not the longest in the game. Okay, the wet, was not expecting that from the wet weather.
Oh, same here. I really was not expecting it. We've got Aidan Howard in the chat asking for no more rain, so more rain it is.
Oh, that sounds
Aidan
brilliant.
didn't kill his engine. Shock horror. Where did Aidan finish?
Aiden finished in P9, which I think he'll probably be a little bit disappointed. It was a good qualifying, P6 for Aiden in qualifying, and waiting for race results, but they've not come.
Not come through. This may be
Uh,
another LMU bug at the moment.
we
Oh, here we are.
have got some results. Ignore the time gaps; they are not correct. But it was Leon Vesperez that took the victory ahead of Hartnett and Max Farrell. Matthias Huckwoodent had to sell for P4, with Matthias Fuskin being last of the drivers to make the fuel safe strategy work to take P5. Ben Love finished in P6, have Ollie Knowles in 7th place. Start page P8, Aidan Hart, as we just mentioned, in P9, and Ryan Davies rounds out the top 10. Trying to.
Strong drive from Jarrett Page. P8 is a very good result. And
Yeah.
I'll let you continue.
This is. Right, so Film Zombie gets into P11, does get in front of all the GT3 fields. For Toy will take 12th in the LMP2 field, and Matt Hagen in 13th. So this is being a little bit funny for me. So let's see, can we get is being a little bit delayed. I don't think it likes the fact that the server has already gone down and I'm trying to do this. But it was Athol Basker, as mentioned, taking victory in the GT3 field. Have Brandon Rooney in second. Brian Anderson, we finish in P3 with Mark Bryson in fourth. Tim Bob fifth. That's
And it's
not
gone.
what I asked for.
It's all gonna be.
There we
Here we
go.
go.
Tim Bob takes P5. John Cuddy in 6th. Nathan Turner, we'd fall down 7th after they had some struggles with Chris Overstreet in 8th. Ben Myatt, who one of the drivers to lose their rear wing, in 9th place. First of the new cars with the new Lamborghini. Norman Bruce would finish in P10, rounding off, also having struggles themselves. We'll see if we can get the second page of the GT3s here, but it might take about one business day at this rate for them to send those in.
I'm trying to
Probably.
think who else. Obviously, Paul Prescott DNF'd in
Oh, I
his.
cannot. I still have time on screen here. Max Savick was in P11, and Paul Prescott not finishing, having also donated their wing in the new Lexus. Would be last. We also did mention Dean Smith not finishing as well, having issues with the new update. That
Having issues with skill. That was Dean's issue. Dean's issue was Was it picnic? Problem in chair, not in car.
Uh, yeah, it seems to be. But yeah, difficult race for our drivers. Strategy really coming into play that round. Yeah, again, what do you make of it, Dave?
Um, as said, that there wasn't as much overtaking action because the weather. Sadly, we couldn't see on board to see how bad the spray was, but I'm assuming it's not nice. And looking at some of the comments in the chat, the drivers weren't a fan of the rain. Still, the fuel saving thing, I'm amazed at. It's good to know for future races ourselves that it can be done. Leon, it's good to see Leon keeping the lead and not falling apart as he's been doing a lot lately. Baskar, what would have been interesting to see, well, the fight between Baskar and Rooney had Rooney not span off on T1. That's what would have been interesting. Sadly, we were robbed of it, but hopefully, dry track next week at the Quarter National Circuit, so we may get to see a fight on our hands.
Yeah, we may do indeed. Um, I'm trying to see if the standings will potentially update for us before we head off, but not sure. It doesn't seem like it will want to. Um, so yeah, before we head off, next round, what do we have in store for us for the remaining? Let's go through the remaining 3 rounds that we have of the series to come.
Yep. So we have first. I know it's Quarter National next week. Uh, let's have a look.
Coda
Quarter
National
National.
is going to be very interesting with the multi-class because it's very technical.
I've never driven the national variant, so I have no idea or expectations of it.
I drove it in our LMP2 Fun Cup, um, and let me just say I'm glad I'm not driving next week. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I'm hoping to try out the full circuit sometime, but it seems like people don't like it for some reason, and so it's
which is exactly why we chose it.
National Live for next week, which will be interesting with the um, multi-class, and then after that, I believe we have Sebring for the
Yep.
penultimate
Turn your
round.
turn your force feed back down. It's going to get bumpy.
Oh, who doesn't like the bumps of Sebring? And then the final round is going to be at Bahrain, the normal Grand Prix layout of Bahrain, for the drivers to finish out the first season of the Simhound Academy.
It will be interesting to see Bahrain with it's turn 10, isn't it? The downhill left-hander. LMP2s are going to have to practice that corner and get that right. Otherwise, you're going to have tyres that resemble a Minecraft block.
Yeah, it will be very difficult indeed. So yeah, that is what we have for the rest of the Simhound Academy coming up over the next 3 weeks. But of course, we will be back on air before then, coming up throughout the week. Tomorrow, we have the continuation of the British oNiD 4 series with the open wheel cars, new tire model on iRacing as well for those cars, and wet weather at Oulton Park. It'll be a very interesting round. With a partly top 15 reverse grid race for our second race. A lot of chaos, a lot of interesting action. So make sure you join us for that tomorrow with me and Aidan. On Sunday, we'll have the 100 series, which will be at the new track Qatar, released just yesterday. Hopefully, we don't run into too many issues with it, though I think we're guaranteed to have some issues going off of how tonight went on a track that has been in since release. So yeah, we'll have all those strategy to work out on Sunday on the new track, and some new GT3s, of course, for that as well. On Monday, then we have round 6 of the GT3 festival, which will be at Bahrain Outer. Wonderful circuit, always produces some good racing, and I'm sure we'll do so again next week. And on Tuesday, we have the John Cooper Works Mini World Tour on the original Assetto Corsa. That will be at Phillip Island as we head down under for the 6th round. With our 3 15-minute sprint races that have been entertaining as always throughout. And then we get back to Wednesday for the 6th round at Coda National, as we mentioned, for the Simhound Academy once more. I'm checking here. Doesn't look like we are going to get a standings update before we head off. So before we go, any final words, Steve?
No, great to have you tonight, Scotty. It is always a pleasure. I'm sad we didn't see Brian Anderson crash. I was looking forward to that. Strong performances from Bascar and Vispers as usual. See what Quarter brings. See if we can get somebody else at the front. Maybe spicing up the championship up a bit.
Maybe indeed. But yeah, until hopefully you'll join us again tomorrow for the British oNiD 4 Series on iRacing. If not, hopefully we'll catch you another time within the next week. Until then, thank you all very much for joining us tonight and watching. Take care, and we will see you next time. Good night.